When the council reformed after the May 2011 elections, Councillor Rita Rudkin was elected chair of the council, and Councillor Arthur Mail was re-elected as chair of allotments. And even though Councillor Rudkin had been sent a letter, the bird feeders remained on the Crownfield Bank allotments. It became the norm for what was happening on the Crownfield Bank allotments to be taken into committee. At May, June and July meeting. The July council meeting was also to see the allotment inspection set for the 10th of August. The end of July saw Mr Poll receive a letter giving him notice to quit the Crownfield Bank allotments as of October 2012. Interestingly, they had not informed anybody to remove the bird feeders from the allotments or to tell Mr Palmer to remove his fence. There was 11 allotments on Crownfield Bank, all of 1 acre or more. When Councillor Don Scott was chairman of allotments, his allotments inspections used to state that the area was 4.86 hectares, or approximately 12 acres. When Councillor Mail was claiming that Mr Poll had intruded on Mr Buxton's private property in the reports of 2007 and 2008, the allotment area was given as 4.86 hectares, but in the allotment inspection report of 2009, a question mark appeared. But it was not until the following summer of 2010 that Mr Bramley produced a plan with a lower area. The 11 allotments were split into 5 notices. Allotments 1 and 2 were given as approximately 2 acres and 9 perches, with allotments 3 and 4 at 2 acre, 2 roods and 20 perches. Allotments 7, 8 and 9 at 3 acre and 3 perches. And allotments 10 and 11 at 2 acres, 1 rood and 8 perches. And in the middle was allotments 5 and 6, which were given as 3 roods, or 3/4 of an acre. This gave a total of allotment area of only 10 3/4 acres. Was this done like this to infer that part of Mr Poll's allotments was not in Mr Palmer's garden, and being in the middle, he probably would not notice? At the August meeting, Crown Allotments, Holbeach Bank, it was requested that this item be taken into committee, which was agreed. Things did not seem right in the area, and at the end of July, when Mr Poll was given the chance to work away, he thought he'd take it. The job was to start on the 15th of August, but he was not to go until the 17th, so that he could attend Spalding Magistrates Court on the 16th. Mr Poll was summoned to appear there for non-payment of council tax at 3 Sluice Road from April 2011. At the hearing, the South Holland District Council representative opened by saying that they'd sent a demand to 3 Sluice Road, and then Mr Poll had came into South Holland District Council offices and told them that he was not going to pay it until it was sent to a proper address. They had sent a demand to the address given, and a reminder. Both had been ignored, and that is why they was there today. Mr Poll took the oath and stated that he had never been into the South Holland District Council offices, and told them to send a bill to his elderly relations. He then produced an email that had been sent to South Holland District Council stating that he was finished with the property. The magistrate then stopped Mr Poll and asked the South Holland District Council representative to comment. He said it was all news to him, and he understood that Mr Poll had been into South Holland District Council offices. Mr Poll was invited to continue, to which he produced a copy of a planning application, stamped as received by South Holland District Council on the 9th of February 2011, and stated it was a planning application for 3 Sluice Road, signed by Mr D.A. Bayard as owner. The magistrate then stopped Mr Poll and turned to the SHDC rep, who said he was unaware of this, and asked if Mr Poll knew where Mr Bayard could be contacted. Mr Poll replied, well, on the planning application it does give his home address and his mobile telephone number. The rep then asked for an adjournment so that he could confirm what was said. This was granted. At the September meeting, Councillor Mayall's report include report regarding allotment inspection and infringement at Plancook. Due to Councillor Mayall's absence, the report will be taken at the next meeting. At the next meeting of Monday the 10th of October, it was reported that apologies had been received from Councillors Arthur and Maureen Mayall. When it came to allotments, Councillor Arthur's Mayall report, including report regarding allotment inspection, Councillor Harrington moved to agree the report in order to enable the demands and letters to be dispatched. Interestingly, when Mr. Pollard apparently intruded on Mr. Buxton's private property, it wasn't waited then for the report to be approved before a letter was sent, because Councillor Mayall wrote, "Letter already sent." The allotment inspection of August the 10th had seen only 3 out of the possible 18 councillors attending. Councillor Mayall, Councillor Mayall's wife, and Councillor Terry Harrington. A pretty usual occurrence. Northerners Lane had some notable comments. Not on top of job. And weedy. Highlighted at the bottom was, proposed sending letters to tenants, advising them to take care of their land. The allotments had now become sections, and at Callers, all sections, all farmed, all in order. At Crown Bank, it said, under notice to quit. But no mention of basses. But perhaps most interestingly is the comment put towards Plancook. Looked at area which new householder has been told is his. Clerk states that we, Parish Council, own the land. Paperwork being located. It appears that a householder had been given permission to use part of the allotment for his garden, and then subsequently sold his property, inferring that the garden was his. In the late 90s, Mr. Hodges of Tinsley's Cottages claimed that there was a lot of vehicles going down Bass's roadway late at night, and it was frightening his wife. He requested permission to put a gate up, and although there was no evidence of vehicle tracks and where these vehicles turned round and why they was going down to the allotments, he was granted permission. The gate was very successful. It permitted him to let his dogs out behind his property and let the dogs run all over the allotments. It appears his deeds stated that his property extended to the dyke, but the dyke referred to on his deeds had been filled in a long while ago. So when he come to sell his property, he inferred that the dyke that it referred to was the dyke between the Basses and the Crown allotments. When the person bought the property, he thought he'd also bought a right of way into the property at the rear, and soon after occupying the house, began digging it up and covering it with gravel. He was subsequently to replace the metal gate with 2 wooden gates, and insist that allotment tenants must open and shut each gate, and the gates must be shut before they started working their allotments. This was not bad, considering it was the Parish Council allotment roadway, and he got no real right to be on it. But the then allotment chairman, Councillor Don Scott, was not interested in doing anything about this, and in the spring of 2005 was denying Mr. Pollard meeting to discuss the new fence that Mr. Palmer had erected. Mr. Paul parked a potato harvester on the allotment roadway, closing the entrance. Councillor Scott went into overdrive, insisting that it must be removed immediately. But it was not a problem to any of the allotment tenants, or the drainage board as he claimed, but to the householder. The bungalow, erected to the east of the Bass allotment roadway, had erected a fence. Councillor Scott was told that there was a covenant and that no fence should be erected on the boundary, but he did nothing. This and the bird feeders were to come to the fore again.